Nurse Sabrina Allman. I am a student of the Brilliant Quality Nursing School. My skill area is aligned health patient care. Today, I am about to demonstrate a few steps that include the hand washing technique, also bed making technique, as well as caring for the Foley catheter. Now, I'm going to begin first with the hand washing technique. Very important. All right. So once we reach our hand washing station, we're going to ensure, just look around, we ensure that we have our liquid germicidal soap, our bin is there, everything is intact for the hand washing procedure to begin. Now we start by turning on the tap. Once the tap is running, you want to wet your hands first and foremost. Get them wet, and then you go in with a lather from the soap. Start by rubbing your hands together. Make sure you lather, bring them to bubbles if you don't mind. And you're gonna scrub by interlocking the fingers. Gonna ensure that we wash the nails, each nail bed, scrub them correctly, thoroughly. Get in between and under the nails. You want to scrub the thumb. Get rid of the germs from around the thumb. Scrub the wrist area. And after doing that, give it a thorough rinse. Rinse away properly. You want to ensure that you reach for a piece of the paper towel. Gently pat dry. So you're going to use your foot press bin to discard of that old paper towel. Grab a new piece. Use that piece to turn the tap off. Dispose in the bin. And the hands are now clean and ready to work. Now we're going to move on to our second part of the project, and that is the bed making procedure. Now we're going to do a little bit of explanation, but first I'm going to start by explaining what is bed making. Bed making is a technique used to assist patients where it concerns comfort. You want to ensure that the patient is comfortable as well as aligned to the patient's specific need. So you make the bed according to the person's specific medical condition, if so be the case. Now, in bed making, we have 5 common types, which I'm going to explain to you briefly. 1 is the open bed. 2, closed bed. Occupied bed would be number 3. Number 4 is the unoccupied bed. And 5th, post-operative bed. Now, I chose 2 of the 5 to just briefly explain to you so you can have an idea of this bed making technique. 1 is the open bed technique. So with the open bed, or sorry, I'm going to choose the occupied bed technique. Now with the occupied bed technique, and why I chose this technique is one of my second favorite. So the occupied bed technique, this is where you actually make the bed while the patient is inside of the bed. Maybe the patient is bedridden, or just because of their condition at the time, they may not be able to come out of the bed and you have to move along. So with the occupied bed making technique, you ensure that firstly you want to make sure, since you would have already washed your hands, you would have now gathered the linens, clean linens to make the bed. Now you want to start with a top sheet, a cover sheet, and ensure that you have clean pillowcases. Now the top sheet, Before you start to make the bed with the patient in the bed, we are going to remove dirty linens while the patient is there. So while removing those dirty linens, you're going to take them from the top where the patient is laying, and you're going to stuff all those dirty linens below the patient, right? While doing that, you get those dirty linens out the way, you move along to your clean linens. You're going to start by placing your lower sheet at the top of the bed and pull as tightly as possible to tuck under to ensure that the sheet is properly fitted to the bed, right? While doing that to the top and bottom part, then you're going to ensure that you speak to the patient. So ask the patient if they're gonna if they want to turn over, or if you have to assist them while turning over, you do that gently and ensure that the patient stays in their correct position. So gently turn the patient over on the soiled linen, and while doing that, you're going to move. If you need assistance, then I'm sure you will have another healthcare personnel to assist you. You're going to take the patient, put the patient over on flip the patient on the side of the dirty linen. Now on the opposite side of the bed is where you would pull that dirty linen away from the patient. Ensure that the dirty linen doesn't touch your garment, your body. You're going to fold that, and that goes in a linen bag, dirty linen bag to be washed. Now the clean linen, while the patient is still laying on the side, and you're going to ensure that if the bed rails are not up, they make sure that the bed rails are up. If you're operating with bed rails, ensure that the safety of the patient comes first. You pull those clean linen over and ensure that you fit it to the bed properly and make sure that the patient is comfortable. Now you're going to ask the patient to gently flip back on the side to where they were to ensure that they're aligned properly and comfortable. Now that's for the occupied bed making technique, right? So within that time, you would have already placed your pads, if you need any pads for the patient, along with those cleanings. Those would have been aligned all at once, so the patient would have laid thoroughly, no wrinkles or anything on the bed. Now for the unoccupied bed, patient may just happen to have gone to the bathroom, or may just have to sit up for a while, and you have time to make that unoccupied bed. Now when you're making that unoccupied bed, it's a similar procedure. Clean linens, and you want to remove those linens that would have been there before, those dirty linens, using the same technique away from the body. Fold those linens and get them placed in an area to be washed in that linen bag, right? Now when you are finished with getting rid of those dirty linens, then you would move on to replacing them with fresh clean linens. That would include the fitted sheet, the upper sheet, the cover sheet, and the pillowcase. Those now, the fitted sheet is where you fit just the same procedure like the occupied bed. Just ensure that you place the fitted sheet as tightly as possible from top to bottom, and then after that you ensure that you place your cover sheet. You need to fold the end of the sheets on both sides, tuck them under so that they are away from the floor, away from sleeping, and under closely tucked under the mattress. And you want to fit your pillowcases and make sure that everything is intact at the head of the bed. So the pillow goes to the head of the client's bed. Now, that's two type of bed making technique, and there's many more. But we're gonna move on to the reasons why these bed making techniques are very important. I'm gonna give you a few reasons. One, the environment, it keeps the environment clean and safe for the patient, comfortable. So comfort is very important for the patient. Two, it also keeps the bed wrinkle free. So should in case, you don't want to give the patient bed sores, you don't want to have the patient getting more injuries or getting more damage to whatever the medical condition would have already been. So you want to ensure that you make the bed wrinkle free properly ahead of time, and it also saves you time in case of any emergency situations. You would have already have your bed made and everything for future. Now we're gonna move on to the Foley catheter care. And just to add, the Foley catheter, it is a small, it can be a rubber-like tube that runs from the bladder, and it leads urine away from the bladder, and that goes into a urine bag. So that's just a brief explanation so you can have an idea of the Foley catheter. Now, how to care for the Foley catheter? For me, I keep it in mind 4 main points. How to drain the bag, how to clean the tube of the catheter. Thirdly, how to replace the bag should in case it is damaged or dirty, you need a new one. And 4, how to clean the bag itself, how to sterilize the bag to ensure that you have a germ-free procedure at all times. So with the Foley catheter, you actually, I'm not sure if you can see me or if you probably want to.
It's all right. Go ahead.
With the catheter, cleaning of the catheter, it's very important. For the bag, you're gonna need for the draining of the bag, you're gonna need a few stuffs. So 1, you need clean gloves. 2, you're gonna need a basin or a jug, depending on which you use to drain the urine. And 3, you're gonna need alcoholic wipes as you go along. Whenever it is that you are draining the bag, wherever it is that the valve is, before you actually touch the patient's bag, you want to ensure that you clean the valve. Clean the valve of the bag before you actually press for releasing the urine. Now, it's okay to place a towel or whatever it is, a disposable towel, depending on where you are and what you're working with, so that you eliminate the splashes from you and the patients and the environment, right? So you squeeze the valve. After sanitizing, you squeeze the valve, and you're gonna drain all that it is into that container. Now that container you can take to the restroom to dispose in a toilet and sterilize that container immediately, maybe with vinegar water or warm soapy water, right? So that's for the emptying of the bag. Now when it comes to the tubing, the catheter, you want to ensure that this is cleaned at least 2 times daily, in the morning and in the evening, depending, right? But you want to ensure that whenever it is that you are about to handle the catheter, you do that gently and try not to tug on the patient's area, right? You don't want to tug too much to cause any form of irritation to the patient's condition. Now, I'm working with a male today. So for his genitals, when I'm cleaning, I would go as close to the opening of his penis as possible. So I want to ensure that I am holding it away from me, but also getting a proper grip so I don't tug the rest of the tube, right? And when you're cleaning, you use your wash rag, your soap, and you want to gently wipe away from the patient, right? So you do that a couple of times, gently wiping. You can also utilize that same cloth to clean around the genitals of the patient, right? And you ensure that at all times the patient's tube is straightened, not twisted, so as to ensure good flow of the urine from the body to the bag, right? And thirdly, I want to explain to you how the things needed in order to replace the bag. It's the same procedure. You're gonna need clean cloth. You're gonna need clean cotton with alcohol. You're gonna need You don't necessarily need the cloths to wipe, but you definitely gonna need a new bag. Because if you're gonna replace the bag, then you're gonna need a new clean bag to change. And in that event, then you're definitely gonna need a little bit of, you may need a little bit of lubricant depending on the patient's condition. So with changing the bag, it's the same procedure. You want to ensure that after you release the bag from the tube, you're gonna wipe the area, that old area that would have already been contaminated that was attached. You're gonna wipe that area thoroughly, dispose, and you're gonna connect the new bag. Now when you connect the new bag, you want to ensure that everything is in place. If there's a clip to hold the catheter in place, you want to ensure that it's set right and comfortable to the client's needs. Now, with every catheter care, you have to ensure that the bags are clean and thoroughly kept ready for another use. So you want to inspect the bag first and foremost to make sure that there is no holes, no tear, no damage to the bag. Once that is good, you can get a little bit of warm soap water, sterilized water to make sure that you use a faucet or funnel, if so be the case, to get that down, a warm soap water down into the bag. You want to shake it around, leave it a little bit for a while. Clean that bag, you drain that in the toilet, and you would actually hang that bag up to dry, air dry, and ensure that it is ready for the patient's use. So I hope you've learned a lot today, and we've come to a wrap, to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.